Hello everyone, Adam here, and today I'll be talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. As always, this will be a short impressions video. If you want to read the full written review, check out the link in the description below. So, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's actually good, and very impressive considering this is Respawn Entertainment's first attempt at an action-adventure title. Since 2015, with the reboot of Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars video games launching under EA were lacking in content or oversaturated with microtransactions. That's a fact. You can't argue with the fact that Star Wars Battlefront 1 was clearly rushed, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 launched with an oversaturation of microtransactions. Can't argue with that. I know a lot of people have been arguing with that with me, but it's right there. But Jedi Fallen Order provides a great narrative and strong lightsaber combat. It takes place years after the events of Order 66. Survivor Cal is living in an isolated planet as a scrapper, until he uses his force powers to save his friend, revealing his location to the Empire, and he is forced to once again run, but in fact is saved by a crew of rebels who he joins. I'm gonna leave it there for the sake of spoilers, just in case. Overall, the story is pretty good, but it's clearly made for fans of the series. You do get summaries of the various world, people, and cultures through optional collectibles, but the game expects you to know some things about Star Wars before you dive into the game. Cal himself is a great character. Unlike the protagonist from Battlefront 2, Cal goes through a lot of meaningful emotional and physical battle. For example, his identity as a Jedi is put into question constantly, and it's clear that it means a lot to him, to the point that he even questions, is he doing the right thing? Should he still be a Jedi? And a lot of things start to snowball until something very emotionally traumatic happens again. And something I really enjoyed seeing, whether Cal can actually see himself as a Jedi if he believed what he was doing was right. And it's executed quite well, in my opinion. The same goes for the supporting cast. Kree, who saves Cal during the beginning of the game, becomes a very close ally and has a similar journey where she battles the darkness in herself as she is faced with her own failures. It's hard not to compare Jedi Fallen Order to From Software's various games. The gameplay systems have been borrowed from Dark Souls and Bloodborne. There is no stamina meter, but there is a stance meter, where Cal can block a certain amount of attacks before needing to recharge. It's not as elaborate as Neo or Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, where you have to go through multiple stances, so it's a pretty bare-bones system. Parrying is strongly encouraged as it allows you to deflect blasters and open up for devastating attacks against close-range fighters can range to heavily decreasing their health or fatal one-hit kills. The array of enemies leans too heavily towards animals, as you'll fight an array of indigenous creatures, but fighting the iconic stormtroopers is much more entertaining. There are more elite Empire soldiers called Purge Troopers, which come in an array of options such as dual wielders, gunners, and other options. They're pretty rare and they put up a great fight. The actual boss encounters are fantastic, especially against the lightsaber users. These are intense fights where you have to manage your stance and find weak points in their defenses. I just wish they didn't recycle the same fights so many times. You'll fight the same bounty hunters over and over again, and a specific antagonist, although the antagonists that you fight over and over again do use different tactics each time you fight them. You'll explore a variety of worlds which are teeming with hidden locations and cosmetic items. The game includes optional chests that unlock cosmetic items for Cal, his droid ally BD-1, and the ship you'll travel on, the Mantis. Skill points are gained by killing enemies and fighting hidden collectibles, with health and force upgrades available in specific fashion. Cal can upgrade his health, force, and powers using the skill points, which open more combat opportunities. It's a very bare-bones system, but it works just as well. You'll need to engage in platforming and puzzle solving sometimes. The platforming is hit and miss. Cal's movements are a bit floaty compared to other platformers, and it can make jumping a bit annoying. The puzzles themselves do require some critical thinking, but they're nothing too taxing, but the solutions are pretty clever once you understand what to do. Maybe it's the fact that the previous Star Wars games were giant letdowns, but Jedi Fallen Order is a great game, especially if you're a fan of Star Wars games. And it's pretty impressive that Respawn did this on their first try with an action-adventure game, where the studio has been predominantly focused on first-person shooters like Titanfall and Apex Legends. It's not a masterpiece, of course, but it is a great Star Wars game with a lot of strong lightsaber combat, which is what I wanted, and I assume a lot of other gamers wanted. I mean, Republic Commando was a great game, but having a strong game with such cool lightsaber combat is definitely something I heavily wanted. It's not the best Star Wars game I've ever seen, but it is definitely one of the best Star Wars games I played in years, so much so that I played it through 3 times. So if you're a fan of Star Wars, love Star Wars video games, this is a definite buy. So I highly recommend it to a lot of people. So there is my impressions on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. A good game, impressive, and something I would recommend to any Star Wars fan. So if you like the video, please leave a like. It does help me out a lot. Until next time, I'll see you on the next video. Stay awesome, everyone.